All right, here's a conversation that always gets people talking, brands. And last night, Brand Africa held this year's installment of its series since its inception in 2011. The event focuses on and recognizes that brands are not only about reputation for individuals and institutions, but are also contributors to a country's GDP. So consumer admiration linked to financial performance have an impact on growth. We are now talking to Thebe Ikalafeng. He is the founder and chairman of Brand Africa, and he is here with Cote d'Ivoire-born Swaady Martin, who is the founder and CEO of YSWARA. Good to have you in studio, both of you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you so much, Leanne.
All right, so Thebe, let's begin with the whole idea behind celebrating brands and finding out who the biggest brands are on the continent. Why is it important?
Well, it's important because the businesses behind the brands, they help any country with three things, and they help Africa certainly with three things. One, they help to create jobs, because when they're growing and thriving, it means we're creating jobs. The second thing that they do is they pay tax, and when they're paying tax, it means the country has got, or the countries have got money to be able to build, to contribute to public goods. And the third and most important thing is great thriving African brands which go international, or even also stay in Africa, like the MTNs, the Standard Banks, so they create a positive image about Africa. What we need at this point is a good narrative of our continent, and that's why we do this. We do this to recognize those brands, but most importantly, it is really a metric, an assessment of where we are in being truly independent as Africans.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to talking about a couple of the big and strongest brands in Africa, but you're falling into one of these. I mean, you are a company that's 2.5 years old and making inroads all over the place, and it's unheard of for such a young company. Tell us more about your product.
So YSWARA is a socially responsible consumer brand, and we deal mainly with tea, African teas. The brand was created as a way to contribute to the reversal of the African commodity trap. So how do we actually keep our commodities on the African continent and transform them fully locally? And we started with tea, knowing that Africa is actually the largest exporter of tea in the world, but there's not a single, I would say, global African tea company. So we're really on that journey of creating Africa's #1 global tea company.
That is so inspiring. 2.5 years. And like I said earlier, that's unheard of. I mean, what do you attribute the growth to? Because you're already in, you were saying 10 African countries, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, it's probably a part, it's a great team, but it's also working, I would say, opposite the stereotypes. When I launched YSWARA, everyone was telling me, this is a failed venture from start. Africans don't like African products. Africans prefer international brands, and there is very little chance you're going to succeed. And I think this is just a perception that people, almost like an urban legend. I think Africa is different, and I would say I really attribute the success to YSWARA, to the support of Africans, finding that we are a brand representing Africa today that's relevant, contemporary, and also transmits African values in a very positive way.
Yeah, I want to talk to you in a short while about a very exciting thing that's going to be happening for you. But Thebe, I'm looking at the list of the strongest African brands, and that's what you're talking about. People don't buy into African brands. We keep going for the international ones rather. But let's focus on these African brands, and it's so fascinating to see that there are 4 South African brands, the rest are from Nigeria, and then 2 Kenyan brands that are really the strongest and most admired African brands. Talk to me about these brands.
Well, when you come to South Africa, to the rest of the continent, and look at those brands, South Africa typically used to dominate. Used to dominate the list. But this year we saw in the top 100, Nigeria leads with 11, and South Africa with 5. And that's unheard of. And you look at from Nigeria, you have a bank like Zenith Bank. also started by an entrepreneur, but certainly one of Nigeria's most successful and most admired brands. And you come to South Africa, you look at a brand like MTN, and MTN is the strongest African brand, but also is the most dominant brand. And MTN, as you know, won the Grand Prix for the most admired as well as the most available African brand, but also overall the most admired brand.
That is fantastic. I mean, you've mentioned them, but let's look. So MTN is the most admired brand. That's the origin is here in South Africa. Then comes in Tiger Brands. That's the second most admired brand on the African continent. And I'm just looking at the South African brands. And then third is Sasco, and fourth is DSTV.
Well, DST is amazing. When you ask Africans, and you know what we did with the survey? We went to 22 countries to ask them a simple question: which brand do you admire in Africa? We did not specify which category. And then a second level we specified. When it comes to media, which brand comes to top of mind?
Yes.
And in media, they immediately went to two areas. Internationally, they said BBC and CNN number 1 and 2, and they said in Africa, DSTV.
Okay.
Because DSTV is an aspirational brand, but it's also the brand that carries all the other media brands.
Yeah, fascinating, really fascinating. And then the Nigerian brands are the Dangote Group, which
Dangote is
Amazing.
fascinating. I mean, last night we also recognized Dangote as the brand builder of the year.
I would imagine.
Now, if you look at the last 18 months, what Dangote has done, not only have they expanded across the continent, particularly in cement, investing in infrastructure for cement to build Africa, but they have really been capturing the African consumer and international consumer's mind with great campaigns internationally. When you watch CNN or any of the other channels, all you see is Dangote, and all you see is Zenith. And all you see is MTN.
Celebrate that. Indeed, and that's what makes us proud. And these are the things we need to celebrate and keep on saying, guys, this is African. This is what we're doing here on the continent, and this is what you're about to do. You are now taking your tea out of the African continent, and you're launching. Is this next week? Or no, before Christmas? I beg your pardon. Before Christmas at Selfridges.
Yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
we're very proud of that. And the fact that it was just the quality of the product that was recognized. It was not the fact that it was coming from Africa. The food division contacted us saying that they were looking for a very high quality tea brand, and they actually were only able to find 2 in the world, one from Japan and our brand, as they were launching a new section for high-end teas inside the department store. So we're very proud. It's the department store with the largest foot traffic in Europe. And we hope that will open doors for many other, I would say, global expansion.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, breaking into other markets. Thebe, again, having a look at some of the most admired brands by the region, and every single one of them are international brands.
Well, 75% of the top 100 most admired brands in Africa are non-African.
Yeah. Is it 75?
About 75% of the if you look at the entire table.
All right.
So you look at the entire table, it's about 77% actually. 77% of the entire table is non-African.
Yeah.
And again, we understand why. They've got history in the continent. They've got investment in the continent. But I think they do the other thing that African brands are beginning to do well now. They are closer to the customers, and they are creating campaigns which connect and products which deliver on the conditions of Africa. You look at a brand like Samsung, for example, which is the admired non-African brand. What Samsung has done well, and I spoke to the CEO, he said he's been in 53 of the 54 countries, and he's sat in every single one of those people's homes. Not everybody, but sat in a few of those homes. And what that does, it means he's closer to the customer. And so those brands, international brands, they do well in Africa because they are closer to the consumers. But that's what we as Africans are now also doing. And we do this survey to really see how much progress we are making, how many more of the Swaady Martins, YSWARA brands are coming along, the Kisuas, the Kongas in Nigeria. We want to ensure that those brands ultimately become the top brands which knock out, which not knock, but which compete with the international brands.
Yeah, it's also quite interesting to see from the different areas in Africa. So we've got North Africa, West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, and where we are here in Southern Africa, and to see what the most admired brands are, which we've been talking about right now. But it seems that it's always sports and fitness that seem to come out on top, except for in East Africa, which is Coca-Cola, a non-alcoholic beverage, and in Central Africa is Samsung. But the rest, Nike is for us, Adidas, and Nike in North Africa as well.
Well, you know, a few brands like the Coca-Colas, the Toyotas, the Nikes are truly international brands, and they are present in all the countries that that we serve in. And when you look at the categories in Africa, the categories that we Africans admire and we support, top of the list is electronics.
Yes.
So electronics is top of the list, I think, at about 16% or so electronics. The second being telecoms, second being apparel, third being telecoms, fourth being automobiles. So that's what we do. We love to talk, we love to drink, we love to drive, and we like to dress well.
Oh yes, we do. I saw that.
That's what you see in the
I saw that. Our most admired apparel, Dolce & Gabbana.
Dolce & Gabbana.
I wish I had one item of Dolce & Gabbana.
But it speaks to the other aspect, you know, about Africa when it comes to luxury brands. So luxury brands have really made an inroads. But now the thing with luxury brands is that not necessarily all the brands that we see on everybody wearing are actually real.
Yes.
But it just speaks to the aspiration. But all of us want to wear Dolce & Gabbana, want to wear Armani, want to wear all those. We can't afford them, so we'll go buy them at a flea market, which we shouldn't do. But we do that nonetheless. So what you're seeing here, you're seeing a combination of two things. The reality of what we admire and we use, and also the aspiration of what we'd love to use and what we'd love to have. But when it comes to sports and fitness, remember now the Premiership is the biggest league in Europe and as well in Africa. So 200 million Africans follow the Premiership. Out of about 1 billion people internationally follow it. And the biggest brands there, the Manchesters, the Arsenals and all those, they all use Nike, Adidas, Puma. So that's why you see such a strong presence as well of the sports brands across there, because the brands we admire use the brands we'd like to
Indeed,
use.
they're in your face. People love them. This is so fascinating. I love it. I want to read this whole book because everything is on here. Can you find this on the website or can you get this magazine?
African Business Magazine is on shelf from next week. So there's a supplement in African Business. So every year, our partners African Business they do this, and it will be available on shelf next week. It's also available online in brandafrica.org.
Okay.
It's also going to be available on Mail and Guardian online, Mail and Guardian Africa, and so
it's all over the place.
It's all over the place.
Thebe, thank you. It's always nice seeing you.
Thank you.
And on solid ground, not on top of
Kilimanjaro.
But
listen, this is the most important Kilimanjaro for us as Africans, to
is.
truly overcome and win and create brands which help us to create jobs, to pay taxes, and to change the image of the continent.
There you go, Thebe. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you do for the brand of Africa. And you, I'm dying to taste your tea. Don't make me go to Selfridges to buy one. Please
you can
don't
go to Luminance to get it.
So I'm going to go to Luminance then. Okay, I'll go buy one there. It's a lot cheaper for me to get there than to Selfridges. Thank you so much. Swaady Martin, who is the founder and CEO of YSWARA. It's a tea that is taking Africa and hopefully the world by storm as of Christmas. And all right, just before we say goodbye to you, we just want to show you this. Over the last few days, it has